Morning everybody! Did you know there's only 3 things holding the front of this car together? I'm talking the fenders, the hood, the grille, the lights, everything. 3 things. 2 of them are these. And the third thing, gravity. That doesn't sound very safe, so I'm going to restructure what's going on underneath all that metal. So apparently, when these cars were constructed in the factory, the grille shell, the fenders, and everything going on underneath them was all put together in one piece and then dropped onto the car and bolted in place. That doesn't sound very practical. So what I need to do, I'll show you where it's supposed to join everywhere, right? This fender is supposed to join with bolts all the way around that edge there. Same on that side, obviously. Underneath that fender there's this kind of swoopy bracket. Now I've currently got the swoopy bracket attached to the frame, and that stops the fender from dropping down. Also on the fender there's supposed to be bolts around there. You can see it's sitting a bit low, so that edge needs to come up. There should be bolt holes there, so I need to drill some holes around there. And also on the fender you can see it's supposed to bolt onto the running board there. But again, as you can see, it's sitting too far forward. The whole thing needs to come back. In order to bring that back, I need to pull the grille shell that way. As you can see, it's over an inch gap there. So I'm going to construct a couple of rods going from the grille shell to the firewall. One there, one at the other side, probably with some threaded rods so that I can adjust it, make it a bit tighter. The hood bolts to the grille in there, bolt at either side, and it bolts to the firewall at that side. So again, that's crucial that that distance is correct, so that that gap's right and this gap will be right. So lots of construction to do. So I need to move the car over there a bit so that I can get access to both sides. But I still want to keep it inside the garage because it is going to rain today. Right, let's get a move on. I'll give you a closer look at the situation. So currently, the grille shell, do you see that square cutout? It's the same on the other side, and that basically sits where those lines are. So it's like, it's not going to move back and forward. It might rattle a bit, but it's not ideal. And the other support for the fenders and the grille shell are these big things, okay? As you can see, they're not exactly solid. You can even see some flex down there. So what I'm thinking of doing, I'm going to take these off, weld some more plates on to make them solid, and then put some kind of rubber pads around there for the grille shell to sit on at least. And then between this point and the corresponding point at the other side, there should have been a bar that goes from there to the other side originally. And that should, if I can find space to run from there over to the other side. Where are we? Yeah, there, right. If I can run a solid bar from there to this point, that should make the whole front end solid. Yeah, that should work. And then, as I said before, the rods, 2 rods will go from the grille shell up to, there's already holes there, which is nice. And that will pull it forward, backwards actually, and tighten the whole thing up. Then the hood goes over the top, gets bolted onto everything, a couple of latches, and we're good to go. Obviously I still need to drill these holes around here, but I can't do that until the front's all solid. So that's what I'm doing. Let us begin. Okie dokie. I've strengthened these, that one, they're a lot stronger now, and I've wrapped the cross member section with that rubber and glued it on, and the clamps are just to hold it in place. So while we're waiting for that to bond, let's see if we can get the headlights bulbed. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are old school headlights. They don't make the lens size anymore, so I had to adapt, and I wanted an H4 bulb to fit. This is a sample that I worked on. If you want to see how I did it, click up there. Basically this came from one of those spirally dog leash things that you screw into the ground. So I need to make this clip look like that clip and get it onto the new lights. So I have my two H4 halogen bulbs clipped in place. They should work fine, nice and tight. Now I need to work out how I'm going to attach the side lights. That one's obviously more modern than that one. That one took the tiny little bulb, which I can't find. Basically that one is for in there, and that one is half that size. So I'd rather they were both this size. So there's no internals to that plug. So I either have to buy a whole new set of these, or if I could find the internal wiring, it's got a little spring thing. It would be easier just to buy the whole kit, I think. It's going to be tricky how to attach it though, because it's got this weird springy thing holding it in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end up doing to Princess Auto, see what they've got, see what I can conjure up. So that was yesterday. I decided just to let that glue dry overnight and most of today. Anyway, I have been to Princess Auto to get the light thing sorted. Let me show you what I came up with. So my plan was to find a replacement for this little bulb holder, okay, which is just your standard bayonet 12 volt jobby, but this one's got a weird spring on it, and the other reflector has got a smaller bulb, you know, the wee tiny one with a different holder. So I kind of wanted to replace both of these so that I could upgrade in the future and, you know, change bulbs without having to go to swap meets. So I wanted something a bit more modern, so I really just wanted the updated version of this. Couldn't find it in Princess Auto. However, I did find this, which hopefully, thinking outside the box, should work even better. When I say outside the box, I can't even get inside the box. What we have here, I think it's actually an LED side marker. Okay, so it should be plenty bright enough, probably brighter than the silly wee bulb that used to be in it. And the way this works, you drill the hole a little bit smaller than this grommet in here. I shouldn't have to take much off of this. I'll need to take more out of the other reflector because, as I say, it was a smaller holder. So drill the hole, squeeze this grommet in that hole, and then this new LED will push in from the inside and clip in like so. Okay, now this is actually a lot better than what I'd planned on two counts, right? One, I would be relying on using the reflector housing as the earth for this setup. There would only be one alive coming in at the bottom, and then it would rely on the earth as the outer of that bulb. However, I didn't like that because then I would have to try and attach some sort of constant earth to this reflector, to the the headlight housing, and then to the body, etc, etc. This one's different because it's obviously, as you can see there, the white will be the positive coming in and the black will be the earth going out. So it's a complete circuit. The second thing I really like about this, it's going to sit flush in there. So it's not going to take away the beam from the actual main beam when it's on. Obviously this isn't on when the main beam's on, but if you can imagine this bulb sitting there, that really gets in the way of the overall beam pattern. It's kind of huge and unnecessary. So as I say, a little flush one sitting down there, it will still light enough The side lights don't need to be mega bright, they're really just supposed to show where the front of the car is, you know, when you're parked, or if you know, a bit like daytime running lights. I would probably wire these up to come on as daytime running lights, even without the lights being on, but we'll see. But I think that is going to look just great. So, let me chop this out, see how big I need to make that hole, plug it, you know, plug it through the hole, wire it up, see how it looks. I think it's going to be great. Time will tell. Okay, that took no time at all. I didn't have to enlarge the hole very much. So, what do we do first? Right, first, put the grommet in. So it's not mega tight. I didn't want to make it too tight because then I would never get the actual bulb in. Feed the wires through. And then just persuade this bulb into position. Like so. I think that's going to work just great. So I obviously need to test it, but you know what, I don't really want to test it until everything else is in place and do the whole lights on in the car thing. So let's get back to assembling the front end. Right, let's see if my gluey, paddy, clampy thing has worked. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's worked so well it's glued the metal on. Oh, that's pretty good glue. Hey, if it can glue metal, it can certainly glue rubber. So these are really just to avoid squeaks and rattles and rolls. Should do the job. Oh wow, that's some serious glue. Gorilla Glue, by the way. Gorilla Glue works, but only if you leave it for a while to set. But yeah, that should work fine. Good stuff. Doesn't look very pretty squidged out the sides, but no one's going to see it, I don't care. So what's next? I've shored these up. They're a lot more solid. So I can put the grill over, attach these, and then work on the radiator support rods. That's next. So my grill is back on, bolted in place. So here's my plan for connecting the top from there to there. I'm going to use this steel rod. It's the same steel rod that I use for the radiator. Seems to be holding up quite well. So this end here, I'm going to do that sort of bend, you know, it goes along, down and along. So that will go in there and then it will be able to hook around that way. So that will prevent forward and backwards motion. You've probably seen that in kind of like how brake drum springs work. Do you know what I mean? They avoid pushing and pulling. Anyway, so that will go from that point, hold on, to that point there. So I need to come up with an idea to connect the end of this rod to that point there and have it adjustable. So I'll probably make a sort of, maybe a sort of U-shaped bracket. The bracket will bolt through that hole, come along to it there and up with another hole, and then I will weld a bit of threaded rod onto the end of this to make it adjustable forward and back with a lock nut. So let me do some fabbing and I'll be back shortly. I found a section of U-channel. I think it probably used to be a bit of frame with its end cut off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this in half all the way down there to give me two brackets. So it will mount on the firewall like that. There will be a hole there, a hole there, So through this hole I'll mount it to the firewall, and through this hole will be where the threaded rod comes, and then I can adjust it from under there. So let me chop this in half and make it look a bit less like a piece of frame and more like a nice sexy bracket. Hopefully. Back shortly. My extremely stylish and exquisite brackets are installed. Ugh, I suppose I should paint them. That one looks very close to the horn, but much easier just to move the horn down if I have to. I don't think I'll have to. Right, so let's see how this bar's going to work. Still need to bend the end, but that's going to go roughly in that hole to this point here. Let's try it this way. Okay, and as I say, I'm going to weld on some threaded rod onto that, which will go through there. There'll be a nut at this side, nut at that side, so that I can adjust how close or far away the grill is. And then once it's in the right place, tighten these up, and that should keep that rigid. One at either side should be plenty. So let me do the next step. My rods are done. So that's the end I was talking about. So that will hook into that hole, curve round there, and then it will pretty much lock itself in this area, preventing forward back movement. The other side, welded some threaded rod onto the end. I've got a lock nut in place first, so let me show you how this goes together. That will go in the hole there, and then it will go in this hole here. And obviously the more I tighten it, the closer it will get. So let's set it about halfway for now, because obviously I won't know for sure until the hood is on how close it needs to be. Should we get this one in first? Yeah, it's not much rigid. It's a 2-for-1 deal again, both in at the same time. Alright. Drop it up. Right, let's throw the hood on, see how it lines up. Right, full disclosure before I show you this. I had to redo those rods. I hadn't made the threaded bar long enough. It was that and it needed to be that, so I had to cut that off, make a new one, weld it on. So let's see how it fits. So I still have room for adjustability either way. Now I knew that this wasn't going to line up because the grill is actually sloping back too much, and that's all because that cross member it's sitting on is too far forward by about an inch. Really, there's nothing I can do about that. There is something I can do about it, but I'm not going to, because at the moment the radiator's installed on that bar. I'd need to cut the bar off, move it back, move the radiator, change all the hoses. No, I'd rather just deal with a little gap, okay? That's the way it is for now. So how does it look inside? It just looks like a bar. Nothing fancy, but it'll do. Obviously I still need to make the latch for this so that it doesn't flop about. Job for another day, but overall it's actually pretty rigid. It'll make a noise when I rock it, and that's these things flapping about, right? But apart from that, I can shake the whole car with the grill, so I know it's solid enough. Okay. What is next? So next we'll be getting the front fenders on the car bolted at the sides and onto the running boards. But I think this video is long enough. Now you might have noticed I'm not uploading every day at the moment, and to be honest there's just far too much going on in the world, mostly in America. and you guys have got plenty to be watching without watching me every day. So for the time being, I'm just going to upload every couple of days or so. I hope you don't mind. If you do mind, let me know and I'll just start posting absolute nonsense, but I don't think that's fair. I'd rather give you some actual content. So once the fenders are on, we can get the lights on and start getting all the wiring done. I'm really looking forward to that, especially these awesome lights. I think they're going to look spectacular, but we'll find out soon. Oh, talking of which, I had said in previous videos I was going to wire this light up as my flashers, but I've decided possibly not the best idea. So I do have little tiny chrome flashers that I'll install lower down, just for now until I find something nicer, but that's the plan. So enough wiffle waffle. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Well, actually, possibly in a couple of days. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification little bell thing so you know when the next video is up and running. Okay, thanks for watching everyone. See you in the next one. Bye bye.